Well, thank you all for coming. It's an honor to speak here before you all. As Laura said, Early Messages to the West is the title of a book that we're working on right now that hopefully will be out by autumn for the Christmas season. The book collects different kinds of materials that Baba prepared during the period of his early tours to the West, materials in different media, some of them which he gave out at that time, some of them which he did not. Now this book, so I'm going to be saying various things about the book and also about the background to it, because I think a lot of the actual materials that Baba gave are really illumined by an awareness of the greater context of Baba's work at that time. When I started working on this a year and a half ago or so, I had envisioned it as being just a little book with one or two of the items that are going to be in it. As a matter of fact, these are Philip Krieger's copies of two of the books. Anyway, the other is here somewhere. There we go. Two of the items that were published during that period. This is a book, Questions and Answers, which some of you may have seen, and another book, The Sayings of Sri Meher Baba. I had thought, okay, we'll just republish these. They've been inaccessible for a long time, and it would be worth it just to come up with a simple book presenting them, making them available again. But as I got more and more into this, I started to see, at least I thought so and think so, some of what Baba was doing at that time. And to revert to the 60s and 70s, it blew my mind. I was, and that's part of what I hope I can convey, that there was much more going on than I would have guessed. Between 1931 and 1937, Baba traveled to the West 10 times, in fact, and he went 3 more times in the 50s for 13 trips total. But if you can imagine 10 trips to the West over a 6-year period, I mean, if there aren't many people who go to India 10 times in 6 years when it's just a 24-hour plane trip, but he had to go by boat. So you can imagine the frenzied pace that was going on at the time. But in the middle of this is going to be my own take on it, and you can take it for what it's worth. But what I see is a certain phase of work that Baba was engaged on where he was as straight as an arrow on it, working in a very coherent way. You know, something about this is, and I'm focusing on just one aspect of Baba's work. He did many other things at this time too, obviously he did, but his work in the area of public communications. Now he was doing, as you know, he was contacting lovers, he was doing all sorts of stuff. But this piece of work, it seems to me very clear that Baba was working on it in a coherent, methodical, organized way that now from 70, 80 years distance, we can see quite clearly. In fact, when this came into view for me, I was floored. I was really floored that a human being would be capable in a situation like that of working on such a level. Now, and this is the fundamental pattern that seems clear to me, and this book is organized into sections this way. The first trip to Baba, by the way, one little perhaps hint that there was something archetypal going on. This is no news to most of you, but you may know that Baba first set foot in the Western world on September 11th, 1931, which is 70 years to the day before the 9/11 thing. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that people of that disposition, I'm sure you know some, will have lots of fun. If Alaba, if only Alaba were here. But that is kind of amazing, isn't it, really? But on that first trip, I hadn't realized until I got into studying it that it was really an under-the-radar trip on Baba's part. Baba didn't, in fact, he left India with basically none of his mandali even knowing that he had gone, except for those who he took with him.